let's kick it off.
Yep.
Big dog status, I'm a big dog vet. I pull up on the block in a big Corvette.
What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to the Struggle to Strength podcast. This podcast serves as a place for us to educate, inspire, and connect with like-minded individuals on all things mind, muscle, and money. I am your host, Josh Levine, and I am joined here by my co-host, Travis Hatch. And today, we are going to talk about the power of passion, purpose, and perseverance. Y'all, this is going to be an unbelievable episode. I already feel it. It's going to be good.
I feel passionate.
I feel purposeful. And so basically, look, if you want to be successful in any aspect of your life, I think you're going to heavily relate to what we have to say here today. So without any further ado, let's dive in. Travis, before we get started, I always want to know how you're doing, man.
I'm doing good. We just had the holidays.
Yep.
And Santa Claus brought me a bunch of really, really sick new camera gear, new Canon EOS R6. It's a full frame mirrorless camera. It's like an absolute beast. I have no idea how to use it, so it's a whole new operating system I need to figure out.
So it's not in, we already have 3 cameras in here today. It's not in here.
No, it is.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're doing a 3 camera setup today. We're going to try it out.
Yeah, if y'all don't watch these on YouTube, these are on YouTube too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you'll get an even more professional look.
Sick.
But yeah,
So you got
very
a bunch
pumped
of
on
new
that.
gear. That's dope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gonna really elevate my game.
Sick. Yeah, because with your line of work, it kind of is about the like tools that you have available.
Yeah, it's probably 85% you and maybe 15% the equipment.
Okay.
But that 15% can be way more effective, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like it won't look like you shoot your videos on a potato.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like somebody who is really skilled with videography can take any camera and make it look good.
Like
or
Scott,
photography.
like Scott does with his iPhone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You can shoot professional with pretty much anything. But if you're kind of in that, more beginner to intermediate stage like me, then having better equipment is going to be produce like better quality shit.
For sure.
Yeah.
That's dope. Well, Santa came for me too. And well, actually Santa and whoever the Jewish Santa is, because I'm Jewish, I celebrate Hanukkah, but like with Meg, we celebrate Christmas, and I'm always so excited to have a Christmas tree. But Santa brought me an alarm clock.
That's sick.
It's a sweet alarm clock. So it's one of those ones that glows when you wake up. So it doesn't wake you up with noise. And so I've used it the past 2 days. I set it up and I just like you wake up like you would with the sun.
Oh, that's dope.
It's actually amazing. I've been like kind of confused the past couple mornings when I woke up because like I'm not getting an annoying alarm clock sound. But then I realized like it's kind of nice.
Yeah, that's sick.
I like that. I actually really like it. So it's an iHome one is the brand. So if any of y'all want like a cool alarm clock that just wakes you up with a mimicked sunlight, it's so far I love it. It's pretty sweet. And you can do like a nighttime version too where you do like a sunset and it's like nice red tones, like not blue light at all. And it's like nice red tones, and that's supposed to help you fall asleep. I haven't tried that one yet.
Nice.
So yeah, I got that. I got a bunch of new physiology books. My parents got me some new clothes that don't fit and they're XLs. And so that's kind of sweet. That's honestly a better gift than anything is the fact that my XL clothes don't fit.
It's working.
It's working. So thank you, Justin. It's working. But yeah, so holidays have been good. I think, everyone's pretty much ready to get into the new year. And so with that, I think a lot of people are going to be we always have New Year's resolutions. We have New Year's goals. There's this whole like new beginning that happens in the new year. And so I think what we're about to talk about is going to relate to a lot of people who are looking for a change. And I think a lot of people hear the idea that they should be doing something they're passionate about or finding their why. And so what we're going to do today is talk about what we think what works best and what's worked best for us. And I think a lot of people are going to relate to it. So let's get started and talk about passion. I know we've both had interesting ways of finding what we're truly passionate about. And I truly believe that if you want to be a successful human in any aspect of your life, finding something that you're passionate about, like truly passionate about, something that like sets your soul on fire. If you find that, it's going to make you so much of a better person, like a more successful person. You're going to be more driven because you found something that you truly love to do. Like, let that shit kill you.
Yeah.
So what's your take on passion? How'd you find yours? Why is it so important?
Yeah, I think so we were talking about this earlier. I wouldn't even say like necessarily videography is my life's passion. Like there are definitely people that are way more passionate about filmmaking and videography and photography and all of that stuff, to where it's like, that's what they do, you know, that's their favorite thing. For me, it's just like my passion is like being the captain of my own ship, I guess. Mm-hmm. And building, you know, creating like my own future, being my own boss, whatever, however you want to call it. That's definitely what I'm passionate about. Being like a business owner, an entrepreneur. That's what I like to do. That's what I'm passionate about. And so when I was really thinking about that and coming to terms with that and making that decision, it's like, okay, well, what do I do? You know, I know that that's the thing. So what do I do day to day? Do I like, you know, so I've spent like literally years thinking about and writing down and the things that I like and that I don't like. And it varies a lot. Like I like to be active. I like to be outside. I like to build things. One of the things that I really like doing is like videography, photography. It's something that I did and do for fun. So when thinking about, you know, what are different ways that I can work for myself, start my own business, like the two paths that I went down really are like real estate and videography. And so like videography is like my business. So I get to, you know, the day-to-day aspects of that are stuff that I like to do. And then real estate is like my second business. And those are all the other aspects of things I like to do. There's a lot of like, you know, building, like I just built like a new kitchen in the basement. Like you got to redo a floor, you got to do landscaping, whatever. I enjoy doing all of those like day-to-day tasks. There's a lot of things that I don't like doing, but you know, I kind of figured out, and I'm still figuring out, but just kind of figuring out like what are like the day-to-day things that I like to do. And then how can I build a business around that? So yeah, like I said, it's not necessarily videography is the thing that I'm super passionate about, but it's the thing that I love doing. I like doing the day-to-day aspects of it. I would do it for free, and I do a lot. And what I'm passionate about is like building a business. So those two things fit together perfectly. There are people who from a young age were obsessed with being an astronaut or something, you know, and then they work their whole lives for it and then they become an astronaut, and that's great. That's awesome.
Yeah. It's not common.
It's not common for you to like know the thing and you have, you know, I want to be an actor and I'm so obsessed with this and like that's all I do. That's awesome. And people
that's
who
a
have
prodigy.
that, yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely like, I've always been envious of people like that. But I think what I've realized is like, you don't need to be that person to basically do the same thing. Because there's lots of ways that you can do it. You can structure this thing.
And I feel like a lot of people put too much pressure on themselves to either very specifically identify what they're passionate about or like force it. And you can cast a broader net. Like you said, if you're a child prodigy and like you've known what you're supposed to do and you had parents that helped guide you to it, that's great. But, you know, for people like us, like, you know, you're passionate about being outside and creating things and helping people. And I'm passionate about helping people. I'm also very passionate about fitness. And we talked about this a little bit earlier. And I've talked about this with people like Anthony Spada and a little bit with like Kenny Lipton and a lot of my peers, where I think a lot of times we find if we are not born knowing what we're meant to do or born knowing what we're truly passionate about, and not just like a phase of like, I loved baseball when I was a kid, but like I didn't have it in me, I don't think at that point, to go on to play professional baseball. You know, like, I think a lot of times we come across things that we're passionate about with something that's happened to us. And it's not always something like, a lot of times it's like a painful experience. So I know we talked about this a little bit, and I'm fine sharing my story. I've shared quite a bit with Anthony Spada and a couple of my other peers, but I found my passion for fitness through some really difficult times. So my first passion was snowboarding. So I struggled with mental health throughout my childhood, and snowboarding was actually the first thing that I could use as an outlet that was healthy. Like, I got into a lot of trouble as a kid, and I've always had this entrepreneurial spirit. Let's like say that first. I've always wanted to build things and do things. And, you know, I started my first business when I was like 13 with the help of my dad. And so I've always been doing that, but you know, I've always struggled with mental health. Snowboarding was my first outlet, and every major life decision I've ever made has revolved around snowboarding, from like where I went to school to moving to Colorado to, I almost worked in the snowboard industry. I actually did for a couple years, and I was afraid that it would ruin it for me. Snowboarding was too special. And if I did it all the time, or if I was around it all the time, and if I made it my job, it was going to ruin it for me. And I was afraid of that.
That happens with a lot of things.
Yeah. And so I was afraid to let that happen. So I decided to not work in the snowboard industry. Fast forward a little bit, and, you know, went through a pretty bad breakup, and it was in the summer. And so I couldn't go snowboarding. I was in real rough shape. Like, I couldn't go snowboarding. I know you were around for this. And I started working out, and I fell in love with it. I found out that it was another like healthy outlet for me, which was great, because then I had a winter outlet and a summer outlet. And usually I had this like seasonal depression in the summer, which was totally ass backwards from most people. And so fitness became something that was an integral part of my life, that was very healthy for me in a lot of ways. Fast forward again, and I've had quite a few surgeries. Like, there's kind of always something wrong with me. But, and that's like a whole level of resilience that I've found to appreciate. But, in 2017, I had a really gnarly surgery, on my throat. I had a Zenker's diverticulectomy, and usually diverticulums are in your, intestines. This was in my throat, in my esophagus. And the surgery was supposed to be relatively simple. It was very weird that it happened to someone of my age. Usually it happens to people in their 70s and 80s. So I just joke that I'm like some Benjamin Button motherfucker. But the surgery was supposed to be relatively simple, you know, soft food diet for 6 weeks or so. But there was a complication about 4 weeks in. The staples that they used to staple my throat back together ruptured, and I had this crazy infection. That was one of the most painful things I've ever experienced in my life. And I was basically rushed to the hospital in the morning. I was at high risk of going septic and dying. So they like literally just held me down on a table and like cut my throat open. And so I had a feeding tube for about 4 or 6 weeks, something like that. And then I was on a liquid diet for a few months, and then soft food diet for a few months. And then I couldn't lift for over a year. I couldn't snowboard, and I couldn't lift. So I was in like really rough shape mentally. And we've talked about this before. That's when, after I was cleared to like do things again, you know, I couldn't even get my own groceries. After I was cleared to do things again, I was like lost as a person. And, that's when I left, and I just traveled for like 5 or 6 months. And I used that time to reflect on the things that I really cared for, the things that I was really passionate about. And what I realized was, throughout my recovery and throughout my travels, all I was doing was learning about fitness, learning about health and fitness, planning my own comeback, learning about how I could help people who were in my same situation thrive after going through a surgery, after going through hard times, or after battling mental health. And so I realized that this was something that I would do for free.
Yeah.
I literally was doing it for free. And that's when I realized, like, during my travels and during my recovery, when I came back, I was like, this is something that I want to do forever. So that's when, you know, I had gotten my personal trainer certification and I started. So that's something that I realized I was passionate about. So I found my passion through like a pretty fucked up way, but I found it. And since then, I've been so much hungrier for growth, so much hungrier to help people, so much more intense. Like, as a human, I've been so much more intense the past 2 years, 3 years now. And so I think if people are struggling to find what they're passionate about, I don't think you can rush it.
Yeah.
I think you can cast a broad net and say, okay, I'm passionate about helping people. And if something happens to you, whether it's the loss of a loved one or if it's a surgery or something that has held you back, you can find a lesson in that. So every loss is a lesson. And throughout all my surgeries, throughout all of my setbacks, and I've had many, the one consistent thing that I've done is looked for the lesson in that. So what is this trying to tell me? And so in that most recent, not most recent, but most severe surgery that I had, the lesson was that fitness and helping people was my passion. And it's something that I can make a living doing. And it's something that I'm going to enjoy doing forever. And it, like, I wouldn't be able to make a living at it if I hated it. So I just went all in on that. And it was, the thought of not doing that was like kind of painful to me. I think that's something important. So like we have this quote here, like the pain of discipline far outweighs the pain of regret. Like I would regret it if I wasn't doing this. Mm-hmm. Because 1, I want to be my own boss. 2, I want to help people. And 3, fitness is something that's changed my life and I want to change other people's lives.
Yeah.
So I think if you're unsure, don't rush it. Just think about it. You know, like Travis said, even just being your own captain can be your passion. And I mean, I haven't always been this way. You haven't always been this way either.
I don't know. I think that I have, like, cause when I look back, when I was like, I don't know, 14, maybe, like I started a business with one of my friends. Like I was always doing that. Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was always starting businesses, but I wasn't always like hungry.
Yeah. Not all of them legal.
Not all of them. Yeah. So I started my first business when I was 13. And then when I was 15, I found some things.
Weed used to be illegal.
I was like, yeah, weed used to be illegal.
And it was
I was like, people are going to want this. Yeah. It's my entrepreneurial spirit. What can I say?
But yeah, that's what I mean. Like if I look back, like that was my default for sure, was entrepreneur, mm-hmm. From like a child. And then I think society just comes in, like culture comes in, mm-hmm. and I think that's changing rapidly for people. But the idea that, like, you know, whatever, doing like the first business that I started with, like one of my friends was doing like literally odd jobs. So we did like painting, and in the summer it was like painting and yard work, and then in the winter it was like scraping snow off of people's roofs and literally just like falling off of roofs. It was a lot of fun. We just fall like 2 stories into a snowbank. We're like, oh shit, should I get some ropes up there? But but like literally back then, and like I said, I think it's changed a lot. But at that point, that was like, oh, you can't do that for a living. And now it's like the people that I know that do that stuff are the ones making the money. Yeah. They're the ones crushing it and doing their own thing. And the people who like sick, you go to college. I mean, I'm talking about myself, like for a while, but you go to college, you owe like whatever, 100,000, 200,000, 50,000, whatever it is, a shitload of money. And then you just get like a job with very limited upward mobility, making like 40, 50, 60 grand a year. Like, maybe over a long time you get up to like 80 or 90 maybe, but you're never going to break like 100. And like, how is that? Like, that's the trajectory that was kind of like pitched to us. And I don't understand how that would be better than like growing an odd jobs business with people under you and making like hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. Obviously,
well,
like
I feel like
it's
people
so like,
and parents, well, our parents want what's best for us, right?
Right.
And I feel like a lot of people don't believe that that's possible. But like there are people out here making money selling, what were we talking about? Like kitten mittens and shit.
Yeah, I got this list from Ramit Sethi. He's a author, like podcaster, all this. I think his like movement book is I Will Teach You to Be Rich. He's got, I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong there, but I'm pretty sure that's who he is. But I got this list from him of like 30 successful online businesses. Number 11 was toilettrainedcats.com. But like, and it's, it's funny to laugh about it, but like these people are definitely making millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? And this is like toilet trained cats.
This dude's making money teaching cats how to use the toilet. He probably honestly just thought it was funny at first.
Yeah.
And realized like he could do it.
Think about this. So especially if you're struggling to find something, like think about this as an example of a thought process. You're like working your job, you don't know what you want to do. And you're just like, you have this conversation with, I'm not good at anything. I don't know anything. I'm not good at anything. There's nothing that I like doing. What do you like? Like, dude, I don't like anything. I just like fucking playing around with my cat, taught my cat how to piss in the toilet. Like, all right.
Okay, do that.
Do you understand how many people would want to be able to teach their cat how to pee in a toilet? And how many people would pay $100 to learn how to do that?
That'd be
obviously.
cheap.
But think about it.
Yeah, that would be cheap.
There's 350 million people in the US, just the US alone. You could just create an online course, like
a masterclass.
All right. Week 1, you do this with your cat. Week 2, you do this with your cat. Week 3, you do this with your cat. Here's a 1 month, like training program. We've got an 80% success rate for getting cats to, use a toilet. How many people would spend $100 or $200 on that just as like something fun and to get their cat toilet trained? And then how many people out of like, 7.5 billion would buy that? If it's $100, you only need like a few thousand to have like a legit business.
Yeah.
And so just think about it that way. Like, I think a lot of the things that people think, I'm not good at anything, I don't like anything. Well, you gotta like something, right? Yeah. Even if it's just laying there watching TV, you can make that into a business for sure.
Somehow.
Yeah. And so like maybe being an entrepreneur and stuff isn't what you want to do. And that's totally fine. But it's like, I think you owe it to yourself to figure out what are the things that you hate, what are the things that you like, and anything that you like or that you're good at, you can turn into a business in today's world. And anything.
Let's drive this home because I feel like a lot of people will say like, how can you build a business around watching TV? Like people, like Twitch is a thing now. People get paid to watch people play video games and watch TV and like cam and do shit.
Or just like a blog, like rating
TV shows.
I have a problem. Yeah. I never know what to watch. Like sometimes I want to watch something, but I don't want to scroll through Netflix for like an hour. I'm sure there's tons of websites doing this, but that's an example.
How do you think Rotten Tomatoes started?
Maybe I just want to get like a tweet every night of like, here are the top 5 things to watch tonight. Yeah. Like you could literally, like there's so many different ways that you could literally do whatever you do and make money doing it. There's really no like, I don't think like 10 years ago even you could have done that. No. But now,
I mean, maybe like Gary Vee did on YouTube. Like YouTube was around, but still, we have so much more accessibility now. And I'm like lolling to myself about the marketability of that business of teaching cats how to use the toilet. Imagine if you go to your friend's house and their cat just uses the toilet.
Yeah. Fucking hilarious.
How the fuck did that happen?
I can make some sick videos for your website.
Yeah, for how to get your cat to use the toilet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be amazing. But yeah, I mean, I think that's just with the rise of like the internet and online courses and everything, just you can literally turn anything that you can imagine that you're good at or that you like into a business. And, if you were to do like, all right, how do I do that? Like in 3 steps, I would do 1, figure out a few things that you're good at or that you like doing. 2, go get .com Secrets book by, what's his name? And just literally explains everything about ClickFunnels and how to create it. Read that book. You'll know how to do it. And then just like, whether it's like, if you're really good at like painting, you just start building out like an online course about like how to paint, and then create like a ClickFunnel for it. Literally anyone can do that. There's so many, and the fact that like anybody can do that, now there's all kinds of businesses set up around that simplify it. There's Kajabi is like a online course, like program. You just go there, build all your shit out super easily, does all the marketing, everything. So, I mean, the ability and you don't need to be Facebook or Instagram or Google. Like, you don't need to do that. You just need like 1,000 customers, and anybody can get 1,000. My point is, anybody can get 1,000 customers doing anything.
Yeah. You can just think about things that you like, or things that you find funny or whatever. Do you have any other businesses on that list? Now I'm curious.
Yes. So it's all kind of like consulting and then like training stuff. So like a managementconsulted.com. It's like resources on management consulting. Life after college, tips and tricks on career development for recent college graduates. If you keep going down, there's like,
I mean, that was probably just someone who struggled with life after college and figured out what they wanted to do and was like, oh, people need help with this.
Birdtricks.com, how to train your parrot. Dog
awesome.
Agility. Susan Garrett, dogagility.com, agility for training dogs, revenue through workshops. So, I mean, their revenue all comes from like workshops, books, online courses. But like, my point is, for anything that you want to do, you can do it. And then you can make money. And then you can always find an excuse not to do it. And I can always find a reason why your excuse doesn't work. Yeah. Cause like, if you know how to do that thing, but you literally don't know how to use the internet or write, go on Upwork and get someone to write it for you. Yeah. If you can't do something, if you don't like doing something, that's what I'm doing right now in my business is like, I know the things that I like to do and I know the things I don't like to do. And I'm outsourcing the things I don't like to do. Yeah. Like you mentioned building a ClickFunnel. I'm like, I could learn how to do that. It's probably not going to be as good. I just don't feel like doing it. So I don't like building websites and shit. Yeah. So I'm just going to hire someone to do it. Yeah. There's people out there who will help you definitely do those things. But like, also if you're upset with, or if you're not happy in your current situation, like if you don't like your job, do something about it. If you're unhappy, then change it. Yeah, exactly. And I think, so I wanted to get into a study that I thought was interesting kind of around this. And it relates back to why I think a lot of people don't do anything and they kind of give up like quickly because it's too hard. And it relates exactly to your line of work and, you know, trying to train some people that are just going to want to give up right away because of the position that they're in. So there's, I first learned about this in college when I got a bachelor's degree in psychology, and we learned about the hippocampus as an area of your brain that is in charge of like a lot of different stuff, but it's in charge of like learning, memory. And then what I'm talking about is it's called like 3D mapping. So if you were to close your eyes right now, you're like, shit, where are my keys? You close your eyes and you can envision them on your nightstand. You're like, oh, I can see my room in my brain and I can see my keys on my nightstand, right? Like most people can do that. That's your hippocampus. It's your ability to like map out things in your mind, right? What these like Princeton University studies have found, and like a bunch of other studies at this point, is that the hippocampus is slowly shrinking in humans today because of things like GPS and your phone. So you don't have to remember as many things because you can Google it, right? And you don't have to. I don't know how to get around my own city that I've been in for a year. I have no idea because I GPS everywhere. And I'm trying not to. Yeah, I need to try to not to. But your brain is similar to a muscle. It's a part of a human body. So if you don't use it, you lose it. And basically, if you were like, what would happen to you if you just laid in a bed for a year? muscles.
You would probably have a really hard time getting out because you'd have so much atrophy.
Right. Your muscles would atrophy completely, right?
You would wither away.
Yeah. So what they found is like the normal person, like their hippocampus is atrophying, which is potentially going to cause all kinds of problems later. I mean, it definitely relates to depression and anxiety.
Alzheimer's?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dementia. But in the short term, it just means like that part of your brain doesn't work as well, right? And the real reason they found that is because they were doing brain scans of like London cab drivers. To be a cab driver, I'm not sure about Uber, but to be a cab driver in London, you have to memorize every single street. And it's an old city with all these tiny little streets, right? Mm-hmm. You have to memorize every single street and pass an exam. You have to know literally how to get around the entire city.
Uber definitely doesn't do that.
Yeah, I don't know if they do or not. But
definitely not. You get a GPS.
Yeah. To get your like London cabbie certificate, you have to do that. And so they were looking at brain scans and like their hippocampuses are like larger than like the normal person. And it's because they don't use like GPS. They know how to get around everywhere and they can envision it in their mind. Right.
That's cool.
And so the way, my theory anyways, is that, you're like, that's kind of what's happening to us in general with like our society. Like you go to middle school, you go to high school, you go to college, like, yeah, you're learning things, but you're really just doing what other people tell you to do. Like the modern school system isn't really set up to like build like creative free thinkers or really even optimized for learning in general.
It's like a life GPS.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. They're being your GPS. They're like, take this book, go read this thing, and then tell me what it says. Like, that's not really like learning.
Yeah.
It's not really like applicable to like doing anything real
it's
later.
Not applied education.
Yeah. And college is the same way. College is just a slightly harder high school. And then I would even go to say that like a corporate job is also just a slightly harder college. It's the same shit. If you work under somebody who's a manager, they're being told the vision by the executives. The executives are the only ones using their hippocampus, basically. Mm-hmm. They're coming up with a vision. They're telling the managers, go manage these people. And then you're just reporting to your manager. Hey, go do this. Hey, go do this. Hey, how do I do that? How do I do that is what you're asking. And so when I realized this was like first time I started working at startup, and it was like, there's nobody to ask. Like you can't, there's nobody to ask, how do I do this? Cause they don't know either. There's no, you know what I mean? Like everyone's figuring it out. And it's the same, it's even harder than that when you are like the boss, if you're building a business, right? You have to come up with all of it. So I think it's the same. I think it's like really the same thing. Like if you were to lay in a bed for a year and then get out of the bed and be like, I'm going to go squat 500 pounds. Like you can't even get up, much less like, you know, be at like be at like an elite level athlete. It's going to take you a while to train. And I think that like your brain is the same way. So if you're coming out of like, you know, the normal trajectory and then you're like, oh, I want to start a business, like it's going to take you some time to like learn and train and be able to like do those things. It's going to take you some time.
That's a good point. And you're probably going to fail. Like you're going to screw up, but like with most fail, like there's always a lesson. Like I mentioned earlier, there's always a lesson. So like, yeah, you're going to try this new thing that your brain is quite literally not adapted to. And you're going to get better at it as you continue to figure it out and fail and learn from those failures. And hopefully, according to your theory, has this been tested in theories yet? Yeah. But like, hopefully, you know, you'll continue to develop your brain too.
Yeah.
That's cool. I like that concept. I like that theory. The boss brain theory.
Yeah. Cause you always have somebody to, you know, turn to and be like, what do I do here? Like, what's the next move? And once you get in a position where you don't have that, it's hard. And you have to learn how to like be the person that you have to ask yourself how to do everything. And I think that's probably like the hardest part of it and why a lot of people give up, you know, quickly.
Yeah, I think so.
But yeah, a few things, like, so how do you get like those reps in basically?
Like what next? Cause you're going to fail.
Yeah.
You want to start a business or you want to do something new. Where do you start?
Yeah. I mean, I think you just need to like get the reps in. It's the same as anything. It's the same as like working out, you have to just,
just try.
You have to just try. Yeah.
Yeah. Take action.
Yeah. So I think, like creating a sense of urgency, whether it's something, medically drastic that happens to you and you're like, fuck, like I can't wait another day. Like I have to be the person that I want to be now, 'cause I could die at any second. Like that's terrifying. Mm-hmm. And maybe something happens to you and it creates a sense of urgency, but maybe you need to create that for yourself as well.
Or like what happened with COVID. I think a lot of people, when COVID hit, you and I included, we pivoted. Yeah. And I mean, it was necessary for survival to continue to make money. And yeah, like with you, your startup sold, COVID hit, and you were like, fuck, I got to do something.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty decent sense of urgency.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I don't have a job. So I've got two paths.
Yeah.
I can
be a homeless person.
Well, I guess three paths.
Yeah.
No, besides be a homeless person, I can either, go try to find another job. And that just sounded terrible. Like I knew that that wasn't what I wanted to do. Or I can work for myself. And I knew that's what I wanted to do. So like, fuck that first thing. Get rid of that. Okay. Like now what? I've got like 2 months of unemployment. So I've got 2 months to figure this out. Right. Like, seriously, like what's going to happen when unemployment runs up? Like I don't want to go get another job. So it's like creating that sense of urgency for yourself. A lot of people are just going to be like, oh, I'm on unemployment, so I'll figure it out later. That's not how it works. Like if you're going to be on unemployment for two months and you want to start a business, you have to start busting your ass like right now. Because it's going to take you a while to figure it out, So yeah, I guess just like creating that sense of urgency for yourself.
I think that kind of ties into, like a sense of urgency. And I think people may like over exaggerate the importance of this. And this is probably going to ruffle some feathers and people are probably going to disagree with me, but I think like the idea of taking the time to find your why is kind of stupid.
Yeah.
And that's probably a harsh way to say it, but like with that sense of urgency, like you only had 8 weeks. You don't have time to figure out exactly why, like what your why is.
Yeah.
Like you just have to you have to make a decision and take action.
Exactly.
And then start moving with intent and with purpose behind everything that you do. You don't need to know everything about your why to just take action.
Yep. Because the fact of the matter is, like I said, I know that my why, I guess, is just is being my own boss. Like I need to make this happen because I know that that's the only way that I'm going to be intrigued, excited, passionate. Like I know that. So yeah, I could do something else, but I need to like at least try this and make this happen. Right. There's a lot of different paths I could go down. I think that I would be like decently happy with, but one of the reasons why I chose this is like, A, it's something that I liked doing, but also B, like my best friend is a videographer and fucking crushes it.
Scott kills it.
Yeah. Scott Barber Films.
Yeah. Dude kills it.
Literally like, I did like some like real estate videos, like not nothing special at all. But he was like, these are, you could probably sell these, like at least, for a little bit of money. And I was like, damn. And like, literally we got on like a couple, like 3-hour phone calls. And I was like, dude, I'm just going full into this. Like we talked about everything. So it's like, that was definitely one of the deciding factors is like seeing somebody else that's fucking crushing it and I can see a pathway. Right. And then on even the step further, they're willing to like give me advice and like help me, you know what I mean? With information. So that, I guess, if you're trying to figure out something to do, maybe that's the deciding factor is like, who do you know in your life or just people that you idolize that are doing something so you can at least see a pathway. And then if you're, and then to take it a step further, like who do you know that could even be like a mentor, and like help you do it? Because maybe there's like 10 different things that you like, and that's why you can't choose something because you're like, well, I like this and I like this and I like this. Well, write them all down and like, who do you know that's doing those? And like, where's the most like resources, I guess. And that's going to be like a huge thing. If they're all equally as interesting to you, like which one has the most leverage? Which one has the most resources? Like, who do you know that's doing it? Maybe this one, you know, some people that are doing it and their businesses are failing. Maybe that's not the best thing to get into, you know,
not the best thing to start with, at least.
Right.
Because if you have a bunch of different interests, like you can you can monetize everything, like we've said. So what's going to, especially if your back's against the wall and there's a sense of urgency here, like what's the thing that's going to work best for you right now? Like, I'm not just going to be a coach for my whole life. Like there's a lot of other things that interest me that I'd like to build businesses around. And that doesn't mean that you have to pick one thing. And that's the thing I love about being an entrepreneur is like, I don't just have to pick one thing and do that one thing for the rest of my life. I want to have a lot of things. Like you're in videography and real estate. I bought my first house. I'm probably going to buy another one in the very near future. Like I want to have a lot of things because a lot of things interest me. And that's something that I guess I'm also pretty passionate about is just like change. I like different things and I like to do different things.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
I think that's something that people should keep in mind is like, if you're starting a business, if you're beginning an entrepreneurial adventure, like you don't need to just pick one thing and stick with it forever.
Yeah. And you had said something before too about like doing things with purpose, with intent. Like, how do you do that?
I think you just have to do everything as if like it's as important as you feel about it. Like everything that I do, especially in the past couple of years, I do with intent. Like, dude, I fucking walk with purpose. Like you ever get behind someone when they're walking or driving and you're like, dude, like I got places to go. Like I got, like, let's, nothing is more annoying than like when you like have somewhere to go and someone's just like basically going 60 in the fast lane.
Yeah.
So do everything with purpose and with intent and, perform every single task that you do as if it was the most important thing that you're going to do that day. And I think a lot of this goes back to the gym where, you know, when we train, my clients will, you know, vouch for this. We train with intent. We train, every exercise has an intent. So like every exercise that you do, there is an intended target that I'm trying to stimulate in that muscle. Like a muscle in your body that I'm trying to stimulate. If you're performing an exercise without intent, then we're losing out on our end goal of stimulating that target muscle until it can no longer contract against the load. And then therefore we're not going to grow that muscle. So everything you do it with intent to help you get closer to your end goal.
Yeah.
So if you're like, you know, say you have to make phone calls or something, like don't just like get through your phone calls.
Yeah.
Like, get through your phone calls with intent, with the intention of closing every single one or booking a follow-up on every single one. Like these are each individual reps and they all matter.
Or just getting better at one aspect of it. So maybe you look at your phone, maybe like say you're in sales and you're talking about like phone calls. Phone calls are a very important part of it. Maybe you realize your weakest point is like the opening. Is how to like open a conversation with somebody. You don't know how to do that. So like focus on doing that better. Mm-hmm. So like that's how I look at my business. Like, you know, I don't just listen to podcasts. I don't just listen to books. I don't just, you know, read random things. Like I'm generally focusing what I'm consuming around what I'm trying to get better at. So like I spend my time, you know, listening to, for instance, podcasts, specific podcasts that I like the way that they operate. And so I'm listening to those with the intent of like, what are they doing that makes this listening experience good for me? Like, how can I translate that into my own podcast?
Yep.
Because I just started doing this. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not very good at it. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm gonna get good because I'm doing it with intent. Like every time I watch the video, I listen to the audio. I'm like, what am I doing that's not good? And maybe I'm not even going to fix it next time. Maybe I'm not going to fix it the time after, but every time I do the thing, I'm going to have the intent of getting better at the things that I'm not as good at.
Yeah. That's like it's like a progressive stimulus in the gym. Like it's not always about adding weight. It's not always about doing more reps. Like it's about doing better reps.
Right.
So like, yeah, you could have 100 podcasts and they could all suck because you're not focusing on trying to actually get better at them. You're not trying to figure out where you're going wrong.
Yeah. What are the ums and ohs that you're saying? What are the inflection points in your voice? What's your tone? Like you have to notice all that shit and then pay attention. Like what are the podcasts you're listening to? Does it relate to, obviously you need to do some things that just entertain you just because you don't want to have your whole life be like a machine.
Yeah.
But like for me, I'm like, okay, you know, how can I like learn from this thing basically? Yeah. And I think that's an important part of it. Like stop watching the news and worrying about Donald Trump and all this like crazy shit that doesn't really like, you know, if you shift all of the stuff that you consume largely into things that you can consume with intent to either find your passion or get better at something or build your business or whatever, it's going to improve your life in general.
Self-help books and self-help in general and podcasts and whatnot have exploded recently, I think, because people just want to get better at stuff. Yeah. And yeah, to that point, like you listen to our podcast, right? Yeah. Yeah. I listen to and I watch because I just want to figure out what I'm not good at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I have to like,
you also have to
produce it. So I have to listen to the whole thing.
Yeah. I listen to every single one though. And sometimes I'll listen in the car with Meg so that I don't just have my point of view, but I want someone else and I'm always asking for constructive criticism. I want someone else to tell me like, what am I not doing right? My dad always tells me I talk too fast.
Yeah. And like, I don't think that you do, to be honest.
It's passion.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's a great point because anybody who's doing this, it sucks listening to your own voice. Like you think you are just a piece of shit when you listen to yourself talk. Everybody, there's no way. But like, dude, you know, when you were younger, like the first time you go like try to like talk to a girl, you fucking suck at it. You know what I mean? And you're just so like, but like you have to keep trying. You know, you don't just give up. Like if you're doing a podcast, like sit there and listen and watch every minute of it, even though it sucks, and with intent. Like be honest with myself. Like what are the things I was doing wrong? What are the things that I was doing right? How can I do more of the right things and less of the wrong things?
Yeah. And having someone to help you with that is a massive benefit. So like I always record for myself. I record training videos of myself to watch them back because I want to know where I can improve. But there's a lot of shit I miss. And so part of having a coach for me, like I have my fitness coach, I have my business coach. I have them to tell me and be very brutally honest with me of where I'm going wrong.
Yeah.
And so I think everyone should have someone like that in their lives, whether it's a trusted friend or a trusted colleague or a coach that you quite literally pay money for.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's a faster route to success.
Yeah.
Than having someone like that in your corner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
But yeah, it is weird to listen to your own voice.
Yeah.
Like even Jordan came in here before we started and she put on the headphones. Yeah. She like talked in the mic. She was like, ooh, I don't like that.
Yeah.
I don't like the way I sound.
Is awful.
My voice is terrible.
Yeah. But it'll get better though.
Yeah.
And you can work on it and, yeah.
Yeah. I like that.
I've got some other bullet points in this. I think, I think the two other ones that I want to touch on before we wrap it up are, we kind of touched on like finding mentors or coaches, but also like creating habits is huge.
Yep. Atomic habits.
Yeah, your teeth would rot out of your head if you didn't brush them. Like it's just a fact. Like you have to create habits. So yeah, creating habits. And you can even just research what are the habits that other people are doing and start trying them out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like what do you want to do? And I talk about this with fitness all the time. If you are not in the shape that you want to be in, if you're not as healthy as you want to be, take a look at your habits because your habits are what have gotten you to where you are now.
Yeah.
Like you need to adjust. You need to figure out what habits need to be adjusted And to help you understand where, like what needs to be adjusted and how to adjust it, look at where you want to be. Like what does a healthy and fit person do? You just do those things.
Yeah.
What does a successful entrepreneur do? Like there's so many resources for people who have found success, who are saying, okay, well, I wake up at 5:30 to start my day because that's the most productive time of day for me. And you just try these things that successful people do, and you develop habits around them, especially the ones that resonate with you.
Yep. Yeah. And I think creating positive habits is just as important as removing negative habits.
For sure.
So if your habit is like every Thursday after work, you get blacked out and you're hungover every Friday, and then you drink all weekend and you're just miserable every Monday.
That doesn't sound familiar at all.
Yeah, right. I'm speaking from experience. There's just no way that you're even going to get better at what you're doing at your job, much less like have any sort of free time to like figure your shit out.
You'll get better at drinking and being less hungover.
Yeah.
Or more hungover.
Right.
If that's what you want to get better at.
You'll get better at time traveling for sure. But yeah, I mean, habits I think are huge. And then the last thing that I wanted to touch on which is a habit, is like cynicism. So this is something that I used to do, and like a lot of people I know do, but it's the like being like sarcastic and cynical about this type of thing. You know what I mean? Like if there's somebody like, for instance, like Tony Robbins, right? I'm not going to fucking spend like 20 grand to go to a Tony Robbins thing and like join some sort of like group, but it doesn't, like, he still has a ton of awesome information. That doesn't mean I can't like get a book and read a book or go on YouTube and get some free content. But what I see lots of people doing is just being like, oh no, that's a fucking cult, dude. Like, don't, like, okay, great. Like, why are you so easily pushed around that like you read one book that you're all of a sudden now in a cult? Like that's, there are people out there with great information, and it's like a coping mechanism, I feel like, to just be like, oh, fuck that, or like make fun of people who are posting on Instagram and shit like that, because
it's probably an easy out.
Yeah.
For people.
Yeah. It's like easier to make fun of it than
to actually learn from it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like there are bits and pieces of everything that you can take for yourself and turn it into your own thing.
Yeah. And that's what you should do. You shouldn't copy someone. The point of going to a Tony Robbins thing, or even like, anybody that you look up to or don't look up to, the point isn't to copy them. It's to take information from them and turn it into your own.
Yeah.
Your own version of it.
Yeah.
Right. We're not just out here like copycatting. We can mimic processes, but yeah, don't just like negate it.
Yeah.
Because you think it's dumb.
Yeah.
Or because you don't want to spend $20,000.
Right. Exactly. But yeah, I mean, it's not even just like that, but like the next time, if you want to do any of this stuff, pay attention to things that you like brush off or make fun of. Cause a lot of times it's like maybe the things that you need to be like looking into. Mm-hmm. And it's like a subconscious thing. Like, yeah, make fun of that person, make fun of this influencer for the way they're doing it. It's like, well, like, are they happy and making millions of dollars? Then maybe there's a few things that you could learn from them, even though it is cringy and stupid, but like, so what,
Yeah. But don't hate on, like, you can't, like, I think my coach says
just
that.
Don't be a hater.
Don't be a hater. You can't, nobody hates from above.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Like if you're hating on someone, they're probably doing better than you. I hate to say it, but I like that. Last, but one last thing that I do want to touch on, and this is the kind of, we've probably covered this, but we haven't explicitly stated it. The power of perseverance. So especially, I mean, I think that the best place to practice perseverance is in the gym. I think the best place to practice a lot of things is in the gym, but, and I think that's why it's so valuable for me. But when you're starting a business, when you're starting anything, when you're trying anything new, when you're on your fitness journey, when you're in a relationship, like shit's not always going to be easy. It's not always going to go your way. You're probably going to fall flat on your face a bunch of times. Like you mentioned when you were a kid and you like try to talk to a girl for the first time and made an ass of yourself. Like you have to fall on your face over and over and over again. But what do you do after that makes all of the difference. And whether or not you fall on your face, if it's something that you don't want to do, part of building a business, part of finding success, part of building a physique and strength in the gym is pushing through the points at which you're uncomfortable and pushing through the points at which you don't want to do anymore, because it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Like, I love relating this back to fitness because every single set I do in the gym, and this is how I ask my clients to train too, there's a point where you don't want to do anymore.
Yeah.
Like you train martial arts, there's a point where you probably don't want to get punched in the face again, but like you want to get better at it. And so you push through every single set I do. There's a point where I don't want to do anymore. And I have to battle with my brain to keep going. And so that builds a level of resilience that is so important for just success in general and building strength. And it kind of just makes you hard. Like, that's why people take cold showers, I think, because it like sucks.
Yeah.
It like makes you hard.
Yeah.
So you get better at doing things that are hard. And if you're good at doing things that are hard, then you're probably going to be a really successful motherfucker.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that. Is there anything else that you wanted to touch on here? I think we're pretty in depth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a good
open
conversation.
It was a good open conversation. I hope everybody enjoyed it. It was probably a little bit scattered, but
we'll play it back.
We'll play it back. We'll listen to it. And then if it's good, we'll release it. We're going to release it anyway.
Yeah.
We're raw and uncut here. So sick. That's all I've got for you guys today. Of course, we have plenty more coming. We have some good guests lined up. Some that a lot of the Team Mahaley people will probably be familiar with. So I'm excited for that. If y'all want to support us, we hope you do. Please give us a 5-star rating and review. It's super easy to do. I don't think we're at 100 yet. We're trying to hit 100 5-star ratings in our first month. I think we're like 60 or something. So if y'all want to drop us a 5-star rating and be a part of that, that would be awesome. Also, if you want to screenshot this episode, share it on your story, tag us. You can always find me on Instagram at Josh Levine Fitness and Travis at Travis Hawks Media. Tag us, share us, hit us up. We love to hear from you guys. Thank you all for tuning in again to the Struggle to Strength podcast. We'll see you next week.
See ya.